would work well. Excuse me. I'm going to reach across and get my crayons. I'm going to take my crayon and I'm outlining the shape, and I might even put some detail inside. I don't want to do so much that the paint won't adhere, but I do want to put enough that there's going to be some resist and it will give us a nice end product. You will do the very same thing. Once you have your under the sea picture drawn in pencil, then I want you to take that light colored crayon. Again, white works really well because you don't see it on the white paper, but wow, when you put your paint on, it becomes quite lovely. And just trace over the major parts of your drawing, so that when you begin to put your watercolor on, you will see some interesting things happen. Now, this does two things. It first creates a little bit of a wall so that our watercolors won't bleed out as we're painting our fish. It also adds some real nice detail to your work. Now, my first step will be to paint my fish, to paint my sand, and to paint my kelp. I will not be putting the ocean water in until after this first step is completely dry. And the reason for that is I want everything to really be settled so that my final wash of my ocean water will not bleed all of my watercolors across the page. A little bit of it might happen, but not much, because you're going to go quickly with your watercolor for the ocean water. Now, using watercolors, again, anytime you introduce art mediums, despite what grade level you're teaching, always model. Always make sure you show students the proper way to use the materials. And that way you are building them to a successful end, as opposed to just putting it in front of them and having a little bit of chaos happen. It's much better to demonstrate just how to do it. Now, you might, in your past, have put water in each one of the colors and let it sit there. You are welcome to do that. You are going to be dipping into your water, and you can go ahead and drop water in each of the colors and let it begin seeping in. Or you can simply put your paintbrush in the water, dip into the color, and then place it on your sheet. Dip into the water, dip into the color, and place it on your sheet. Now, sadly enough, because I used markers so that you would be able to see my work, you can see that the marker bleeds. So it's very important that when you're doing this kind of activity, either on your own or with your students, that you use pencil, and you won't have that concern. You would want to make sure that your students see that you are filling your fish completely, so that you're not leaving white spots. You also want to be able to enjoy showing them that by using nice long strokes, you can make some beautiful kelp on your drawing. And of course, you will be doing this as a model for your students, but their page will be flat on the table. When this is completely dry, I will then go back and I will put a wash onto my piece. Now, you can do one of two things. You can approach this in two ways. One, you can give a little cup to your students where they can mix the green and the blue together if they want to have a little different color, or they can simply mix their wash right in that cup, and then they can go ahead and put their paint onto their final product. Or you can go ahead and put a little bit of of water in the tray of your watercolors. And then they can dip right into that area and get their color mixed up the way they want it. And then with long strokes, oh, I have a little too much green, I can go back over it. And with long strokes, we want them to go quickly. If they're going to go over their fish, a quick stroke. Otherwise, to go right around it, so that we are putting our water onto our finished product. I want to show you a wonderful finished product from one of my former students. You can see that he's done a beautiful wash, and look at the wonderful resist that happened when he outlined his fish and the kelp and put some details in the water with a white crayon. You can see how the paint did not adhere to that waxy crayon. It really creates a wonderful feeling in the final piece. And again, you can see that there's blended colors of water in this piece. So again, making it very interesting. Now, we want children to feel success. Remember Camborne's conditions for learning. We want them to be immersed in aesthetic experiences, and we want them to feel supported and scaffolded. By using directed art, you are doing all of the above. You are enabling them to have practice, immersed in wonderful activities, support from your instruction and modeling, and finally time, so that they can really think about what they want to create, how they're going to do it, and then taking slow steps to complete it. Now, if you find in your day that you don't have time to do the whole project in one sitting, that is fine. Take this lesson over the course of a few days. Begin with simply doing the directed art. The next day, let them have their time to just have a rough draft that they're working on, so that they can play around with the shapes of the fish, creating the fish that they want to use in their final product. Perhaps the third day, you give them their paper and let them draw those fish they've chosen onto their final paper. Perhaps the fourth day, you begin to add the watercolor and the crayon to the picture, and on the last day, the fifth day, you put the wash on. So this kind of lesson can be even done in little 10-minute spurts. Don't let the breadth of your day dictate that, oh my goodness, I don't have time for art today. You can work it in before recess, after recess, at the very end of your day, as a closure activity, however you deem it necessary to get this done. But you can see that now children will feel very secure when asked to make any kind of under-the-sea picture, because they have something to be able to draw upon, their background knowledge of shapes that are known. Thank you, and I encourage you to go ahead and get started on your final piece. Trust me, you're going to do a great job, because we are all artists. Thank you. Aloha! Today we are going to have a lesson that leads us into